Hey, Mike. Okay, your take on the ruling. We're disappointed, quite frankly. But maybe we're missing something between the lines here in the legal space.
Well, it's not surprising given that this judge is facing an election this November from a Democrat opponent, and this Democrat opponent just appeared after this judge heard this disqualification, this motion to dismiss from the Trump co-defendants. And so, this look, if the judge followed the facts and the law, there's no question he should have disqualified Fani Willis and her office, because Fani Willis has an illegal financial stake in a criminal prosecution. You cannot have that as a prosecutor. And she has this illegal financial stake because she illegally hired her secret unqualified boyfriend, Nathan Wade, to bring unprecedented RICO charges against President Trump and 18 co-defendants. She paid him $250 an hour, $700,000 in counting. He colluded with the Biden White House, including the White House counsel, before she brought this indictment. He billed his time for those meetings, so that's undisputed. He also billed 24 hours in a single day. In return for hiring this unqualified boyfriend, he took her on lavish trips to the Caribbean, to Napa, to Belize. She lived the high life, right? She said she paid him back with cash because her Black Panther father told her to keep 6 months of cash laying around the house, but she didn't explain how she replenished that cash after she reimbursed him thousands of dollars as a Black Panther cub to her Black Panther father. She's lying. She committed perjury in this court. She suborned perjury. She obstructed justice. She took bribes. She violated the gift ban in Georgia, in Fulton County. There's no question that this judge should have disqualified her from this case, but if he followed the facts and the law, but instead he caved to the politics. He's scared of Fani Willis. You saw that at this evidentiary hearing. He couldn't even look at her when she was dragging Scott McAfee, this young new judge with young kids, around his own courtroom. And the Democrats put up a Democrat opponent for November in this overwhelmingly Democrat Fulton County. So he caved to the political pressure. There's just no other way to look at it.
Is there any justice at all? Like, I mean, again, we have an optimistic show, but it just seems like time and time again, everyone skates. Whether it's the Clintons, the Bidens, whether it's Fani Willis. We've been covering this, Mike, for what seems like hundreds of hours live. Like, we've been tuning into every single trial, listening in, like going live for 7 hours at a time. We don't claim to be legal experts, but we are experts on this trial. And there are just demonstrable lies that she told. So is the rule now you can just go and lie to the court? You just lie? Like, that's the rule? You just lie?
The most egregious thing that she did was she knew that there was a false affidavit submitted in Nathan Wade's divorce proceeding. And Nathan Wade and Fani Willis got 8 other attorneys in the Fulton County DA's office. So 10 attorneys in the Fulton County DA's office submitted this false affidavit from Nathan Wade's divorce proceeding in response to co-defendant Mike Roman's motion to dismiss in this criminal proceeding in front of Scott McAfee. So Fani and her dumb boyfriend Nathan Wade knew that this affidavit was false. They put the careers and lives of 8 other attorneys, their subordinates in the Fulton County DA's office, in serious jeopardy, and they submitted this to Judge McAfee. And Judge McAfee knows that this affidavit was false, that they submitted. He knows that she lied numerous times in her courtroom. She knows that she suborned perjury, and he caved. He caved to the political pressure.
So in every single other legal vacuum, that this judge should have simply said, you're disqualified, and maybe then some. Like, you're not allowed to be a lawyer anymore.
If I were this judge, I would have, at a minimum, Fani Willis and her office should be disqualified. This case has been illegally tainted since before its inception. Before she brought this indictment, everyone concedes that their relationship, that Fani Willis's relationship started with Nathan Wade before they brought this unprecedented indictment, this RICO indictment against Trump and 18 others. And then now we understand why she brought a RICO indictment, because Nathan Wade can make a lot of money off of this indictment at $250 an hour, $700,000. He's such a dumb, unqualified, bad attorney that this judge dismissed 6 of the 41 counts because they were incomprehensible. And I knew this judge was going to do this all along just because he's a Kemp judge. He was a Kemp appointee. He couldn't look at her in the courtroom when she was being highly inappropriate in his courtroom. He couldn't even look at her to get her under control. But when he started doing radio interviews before this ruling, talking about this case, and when he dismissed those charges that really don't matter, I knew that he was trying to split the baby here. I knew that this would be a political decision because he fears Fani Willis, he fears her political machine, and he fears that he's going to lose his job this November.
So, I mean, he may well lose his job anyway. So why not just rule correctly?
You would think so. This showed horrific judgment on the judge's part. Horrific judgment. He put politics above the facts and the law. He put his political career above the law.
So what going forward here? I mean, this then sort of demonstrates to the entire world that this is an entrapment case for Donald Trump, and that the judge, the jury, the prosecutor, who Fani Willis had this meltdown when we just played it before he came on, where she goes, "I'm not on trial, you're on trial for stealing an election." Like, what prosecutorial jurisprudence and calmness and blind justice to then have a raving lunatic on the stand screaming that she already has decided Donald Trump's guilty here, right? Like, it just shows kind of that this is all a farcical demonstration to put Donald Trump in prison, right? I mean, is that it? Like, that's it? We just have to accept that reality?
No, we don't have to accept that reality. What we need to say is we're not going to let Democrats, prosecutors, and Democrat lawyers, and Democrat lawmakers, and Democrat judges, and Democrat juries, and these Democrat hellholes like New York, D.C., and Atlanta decide who is our next president. The American people get to decide the next president. And this lawfare will end when the American people go in on November 5th, 2024, and tell these Democrats to shove it up their asses. We're going to pick the president, and it's going to be President Trump.
So maybe you can talk me through, like, game theory this. What happens next? So does this actually go to trial before the election?
It very well could. And I think that President Trump and these co-defendants should appeal this ruling. I think that they've indicated that they're going to appeal this ruling because this is clearly Fani Willis is clearly illegally conflicted. Her entire office is illegally conflicted. She took a financial stake in a criminal prosecution. No wonder they brought RICO charges. No wonder they charged 19 defendants with the most absurd legal theory imaginable. It is not a crime to object to a presidential election. It's allowed by the Electoral Count Act of 1887. You don't see Democrats in prison for objecting to Republican wins in 1968, 2000, 2004, and 2016. It's also not a crime to twist arms politically and put pressure on politicians and other government officials. That's protected by the First Amendment, right? And they're saying that there were fake electors that Trump submitted. No, they were alternate electors, like what happens with every election challenge, like 1968, 2000, 2004, and 2016. You need to have contingent electors. So if you legally prevail, your electors can vote for you in the Electoral College. And for them to say that those were fake electors is nonsense. No one was duped by the fact that Trump put up contingent electors, which is the practice. It's not like Rudy Giuliani had the real electors tied up in his trunk and gave fake electors fake IDs and masks to go in and vote for Trump. They weren't fake electors. They were contingent electors. This entire legal case against Trump in Georgia is what we call legal bullshit. Pardon my language, but that's what this is. This is lawfare and election interference. And you would think you would have judges who had the fortitude to make the right calls by following the facts and following the law, but our judicial system has been tainted by politics, and it's destroying the legitimacy of our federal and state judiciaries.
Yeah, I mean, we read the ruling live on air. He's like, we didn't find an actual conflict of interest. I mean, that in and of itself is, in your words, such bullshit.
Yeah,
we listened to the trials. We've played the evidence time and time again.
How is illegally hiring your boyfriends lawful? How is paying this unqualified buffoon $250 an hour to bring a RICO case against Trump and 18 others, and then taking kickbacks, illegal kickbacks? Fani Willis took illegal kickbacks from this in the form of these lavish trips. She lied about it. She got other people to lie about it. She obstructed justice. She suborned perjury. This is bribery. Her defense is that, oh, no, I paid him back because my Black Panther father told me to keep 6 months of cash laying around the house like I'm a prostitute or a drug dealer. And then I paid back this dumb boyfriend of mine, Nathan Wade, cash. But she doesn't have any ATM receipts or bank statements showing how she replenished her cash stash, her Black Panther cash stash around her house to replenish the thousands of dollars that she supposedly paid Nathan Wade in cash for these lavish trips to Napa, the Caribbean, Belize. I would say this, and I've said this before and I actually mean this. After watching her testify, I don't think that Nathan Wade has been paid enough. I don't think $700,000 is enough to be in a relationship with that slob.
So you've talked about what happens when Trump wins, and you talked about how this ends. The question I have for you, and the final question I have for you, Mike, is I live in Tampa. I watched how a George Soros-funded prosecutor was just ripped from his office here in Tampa because he just wouldn't enforce the law, let criminals free, and wouldn't follow the laws of Florida. And the governor here, Ron DeSantis, said, nope, sorry, that's not how it works here. You're gone. Did the same thing in Orlando and replaced these prosecutors. Is there any system like that in Georgia? Does Brian Kemp lack the testicular force? Does Brian Kemp just not want to do that? What are the recourses inside of a state that we checked supermajorities for Republicans in every chamber, unified control of the government for Republicans in Georgia? So what gives?
Yeah, so Brian Kemp, the governor of Georgia, and Chris Carr, the attorney general of Georgia, have the power right now to open a criminal probe on Fani Willis. They have the statutory authority, they have the statutory duty. The Article 3 project has been calling for this since January, and nothing has happened. They also just passed a law in Georgia where you can investigate these prosecutors. Look, I would say this. These cases to Kemp and all these other people who don't like Trump, these cases, this lawfare and election interference against Trump is so much bigger than Trump. They're not just going after Trump. They're going after his top aides, his attorneys, his January 6th supporters for trespassing and taking selfies on the Senate floor. They're going after parents outraged by gender chaos in schools and the resulting rapes in high school bathrooms. They're going after Christians praying outside of abortion clinics while the Democrats, Biden Justice Department, and these Democrat prosecutors give amnesty to the abortion industry activists who are terrorizing Supreme Court justices outside of their homes while cases are pending, while sending them to safe houses, even after the 1 a.m. assassination attempt against Justice Kavanaugh, his wife Ashley, their 2 teenage daughters. These trans terrorists are terrorizing Catholic churches and crisis pregnancy centers. BLM, Antifa, Hamas, their riots are a lot more deadly and destructive than anything that Trump's supporters did on January 6th. We have a politicized and weaponized justice system by these rabid Democrats and these total pussy Republicans.
Put it on a bumper sticker, and then Trump can run on that. And I think there would be so many, make the Republican Party not a party of pussies. Yeah, okay. I think to put it on a bumper sticker, slap it on the back of my car, and you win 49 states. Mike Davis, we know that the president listens to you. We hope he continues to listen to you through this. Please, ladies and gentlemen, I beg of you, Mike is one of the very few. If there is even one, it's Mike, who is fighting for some testicular fortitude for the Republicans in the judiciary. Please follow the Article 3 Project. Please follow Mike Davis. By the way, you will be very entertained when you follow Mike Davis. Did we get Mike Davis a new avatar, ALX, Robbie? Did we get Mike Davis a new avatar? That's happening today, Mike. My apologies if we did not actually follow through on that. Robbie and ALX are on it. You got to follow Mike. You will be wildly entertained. And if you wish to save the country, then you need to go and support the Article 3 Project, which Mike runs and is the founder of. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Mike Davis, thank you very much.
Thank you, Ben.